welcome to another English Solutions for Business and Life video. Today we will be looking at Full Blast Book, A1.1 Module 4, Where I Live. In this module, we will be looking at there is and there are, these phrases and how do we use them, a, an, and the, these articles and when we use them, how to use object pronouns, and the verb must. Also, we will be looking at prepositions of place and a little review of the vocabulary that we looked at in this module. Okay, so let's begin. First, the phrases there is and there are. We normally use these words or these phrases to describe places. We use there is for singular nouns, before singular nouns, and we use there are before plural nouns. Let's look at some examples. Firstly, there is. For example, there is a cat on the chair. There is a jacket in the kitchen. There's a spider in the sink. We can also say there's a bathroom upstairs. And in the next page, we will look at how to make questions with there is and there are and short answers. Now let's look at some other examples. There are monsters in the closet. There are 4 chickens in the backyard. And there are 8 people in my family. Notice that here, there are talks about more than one thing or person. And there is talks about just one. Also, we will be looking at a and an. The usage of a and an, it goes before the object. To be more specific, we use a and an before singular nouns when we mention them for the first time or when we don't refer to a specific item. It's not a specific cat in this case, it's just a cat. Here, it's not a specific jacket. For example, you don't know whose this jacket is. It's just a jacket. And in this case, you don't know the spider or you're just merely introducing it. It's just a spider. We use an before nouns that start with a vowel, such as an animal. And in the case of nouns that start with a consonant, as you have already noticed, S is a consonant, J is a consonant, C is a consonant, we use a before these nouns. Now let's look at some more different uses of there is and there are. Let's look at the positive form or the affirmative form. There is the full form and the short form. In the example from the last page, we saw there is a cat on the chair. That was the full form of this there is. The short form is theirs. Now for there are, which is used for plural nouns, we don't have a short form of there are. We just say there are. Now the negative form for there is there is not. There is not. And for the short form, it's there isn't. The shortened form is for isn't. For plural nouns, there are not is the full form for there are, and for the short form, it's there aren't. For example, in the previous page, we can use the example of the cat and say there is not a cat on the chair, or there isn't a cat on the chair. For the plural form, there are not any monsters in the closet, or there aren't any monsters in the closet. Now that was the negative form. Let's look at the questions and short answers. In the questions, for the singular form or singular nouns, we can ask, is there a bathroom in this restaurant? Is there a cat in this house? Is there a swimming pool in the palace? Short answers would be yes, there is, or in the case there isn't, no, there isn't. Now for plural words or plural nouns, we ask, are there? Are there? Are there 2 trash cans in the classroom? Are there any children in your family? The short answers could be, yes, there are, or no, there aren't. That's it for the usage of there is and there are in this video. Now let's look at the usage of a, and the. As I already mentioned, we use a and an before singular nouns when we mention them for the first time or when we don't refer to a specific item. For example, there is a lamp in the room, there isn't an armchair in the room. And as I mentioned, we use a for nouns that start with a consonant and an for nouns that start with a vowel. Now, in the case of the, we use the with singular or plural nouns when we talk about something or someone in specific. For example, the kid or the living room, meaning that we're not talking about any kid, we're talking about a specific kid or a specific living room. Also, in this example, we have 2 cars. The black one is my father's. The black one, the black car. We're being specific as we're mentioning that the black car is the one we're talking about. Now, let's quickly look at object pronouns. First, let's start with personal pronouns. Personal pronouns can be divided into subject pronouns or object pronouns. You may already know the subject pronouns: I, you, he, she, it, we, you, plural, and they. Now, the object pronouns, we use object pronouns as objects of verbs, and they always go after the verbs. Each subject pronoun has its corresponding object pronoun. For example, I, if we're talking about I as an object, we say me. You doesn't change. He changes to him. She changes to her. It doesn't change. Stays as it. We, on the other hand, changes to us. You stays the same, and they turns into them. For example, can you hear me? Here we have 2 personal pronouns. We have a subject pronoun, you, and an object pronoun, me. Can you? Here we're talking about the subject, you. Hear me. Here we're talking about the object. Can you hear me? Another example. I'm going to the park. Take me. Person A says that he or she is going to the park, And since person B wants to come, he or she says a short sentence in which this person is the object. Well, grammatically speaking, he or she is going to be taken to the park with the first person. I hope you understand this explanation. If you have any more questions, you can ask your teacher during class. Now, let's look at the usage of must and when it's correct to use must and when we use the verb can. Well, we use can to ask for permission. For example, Mom, can I go out? To give or refuse permission, yes you can or no you can't. And to make a request, for example, can I speak to Paul, please? Now, in the case of must, we use must to express obligation. For example, I must do my homework. It's an obligation. We use mustn't, the negative form of this verb, to express prohibition. You mustn't touch the paintings. So, mustn't represents prohibition. Now, that was pretty much the explanation for the verb can and the verb to must, and the differences between these two verbs. I already mentioned some examples orally. If you would like to look at more examples, you can ask your teacher about it. Now let's look at prepositions of place. You probably already saw this image. Prepositions of place, we use them to talk about something and its location most of the time compared to other things. Here is a small diagram, a simple diagram of a ball in comparison with two yellow boxes. I'm going to say these locations and then I'm going to write down their proper writing. Here the red ball is next to the yellow box. Here the red ball is in front of the yellow box. Here the red ball is inside or in the yellow box. Here the red ball is on the yellow box. Here the red ball is between the yellow boxes, both yellow boxes. Here, let's imagine that the red ball is behind the yellow boxes. And here, it's a red carpet or a red piece of paper. The red piece of paper is under the yellow box. Now that I have written them, repeat after me. Next to, next to, in front of, in front of, in, between, between, on, behind, behind, under, under. Next to, another example. The table is next to the couch. In front of. The pencil is in front of the book. In. The book is in the bag. On. The book is on the desk. Between. The pencil is between the book and the bag. Behind. The cat is behind the couch. Under. The cat is under the table. So those are prepositions of place. I hope you understand them better and you were able to practice their pronunciation. And I hope this video has helped you to better understand the material in this module. If you have any more questions, don't forget to ask your teacher about them. That's it for this video though. I hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next video.